Rob, we started off the show, and I know you weren't in for this segment, but we were talking about last night's great, fantastic game, I thought, between the Lakers and the Warriors. Won by the Lakers 117-112, game one. But it was such an unusual game, Rob, in that the Lakers were virtually all inside and the Warriors were virtually all outside. And, we always talk about, especially, people get into the GOAT conversation and, today's players versus those of yesteryear and all that, and how the game has changed and it's a different game, so on and so forth. And Rob, I thought last night, obviously not a perfect comparison, but I thought last night was a glimpse, maybe the closest thing I've seen in recent memory to 90s basketball versus 2020s basketball, where with the Lakers, you had the big man in the middle who was the focal point of the team, like you used to have in the NBA in a lot of cases. He was protecting the rim. He was rebounding. He was blocking shots. They were playing inside out. And they were essentially trading two-point shots for three-point shots. The Lakers made 6 3-pointers, and the Warriors made 21. The Lakers shot 29 free throws, and the Warriors shot 6.
Well, there's your game right there.
But a lot of people would look at it and say if the three-point discrepancy, we've talked about it before, a lot of times you can just look at the three-pointers
That's what
and
most coaches
determine
say
who's
now,
going to win the game.
Right. Just always take a look at that. Not the rebounds anymore, Chris. Not any other stat. It's
right.
Like,
that's an oversimplification, but in a lot of times that is a big impact. But my point is, Rob, for those that want to think about a matchup like that, what you saw last night is how it used to be when you had to go against Patrick Ewing, when you had to go against Hakeem Olajuwon, when you had to go against Shaq or David Robinson or Alonzo Mourning, Rob. That was the greatest era of centers in the league history.
They were everywhere, Chris. They were everywhere.
Now it's not like last night. It was like the Warriors hadn't seen a shot blocker.
Right.
You know what I mean? They just stopped going into the paint at the rim. They were under the rim in the paint, kicking it out. And so to me, Rob, again, I know it's not a perfect comparison, but I thought that was we wonder what it would be like to see those games. And people generally say, Rob, well, if you're trading 2s for 3s, like Shaq would be destroying people today. But some people would say, yeah, but the other opponent would put him in pick and roll and shoot the 3 over him, and you're trading 2s for 3s, and you can't win that way. Well, last night the Lakers won that way. And so I just thought it was intriguing, Rob, and that's kind of how I ended up looking at it, like, wow, that really was like old school basketball for the Lakers kind of versus new school for the Warriors.
Did it feel good to you or did it feel strange? Like, I get the comparison. What did it feel like?
The game I thought was fantastic.
Right. The game itself.
I loved it. Yeah, I loved the game.
Except the 14-0 run by Golden State. Like what was that?
No, that was just a good
No,
comeback.
I'm just saying they had, like, the Lakers were in control of that game, and then all of a sudden it looked like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Did you think for a minute, uh-oh?
Oh, well, look, we picked the Warriors, so, you pull for your pick. I thought they could have come back, but they did tie it. So they kind of, I thought at that point they might get the win. But it's going to be interesting, Rob, because, as great a shooting team as they are, they're the best shooting team in the league. Really, Rob, probably the only team that ever shot better than them. I don't even care what the statistics say. But the team that's probably shot better than them was the Warriors when they had Durant instead of Wiggins. Right? And so, but even no matter how great you shoot it, you're still shooting from 20 to 30 feet out. And that's just not as certain. I don't care how good you shoot. It ain't as certain as somebody that's getting them in the paint or from the free throw line.
No doubt about it. but they still will live and die by that. And it will be interesting to see how it plays out if the Warriors, Chris, and you said was it 21-6 in 3-pointers?
Yeah. So point wise was at 60, 63 to 18,
Right.
which is astronomical.
But still, those free throws, the freebies, are a lot. 29-6.
They outscored them 20 by 20. They hit 25. The Warriors hit 5. So that's 20
yeah. I mean,
points right there.
that's 20 points. And what they lose by 5? What was this
5.
final?
Yeah.
They lost by 5.
Yep. But I do think, and see, Rob, a lot, and I don't want to go into a GOAT conversation or anything like that, but this is what you and I talk about and others about the 80s, 90s. We get it. They weren't shooting the 3-ball like this and all that. But when you went into the paint, man, it was resistance. Like you said, this wasn't an anomaly. It wasn't like one dude like Anthony Davis doing this. Giannis doesn't even do this, Rob, because he's out playing perimeter defense a lot. You know, I mean,
right.
That dudes back then, you had Isaiah Thomas had to know how to finish over a Patrick Ewing. You know, now, and like I said, the Warriors, it just looked like they weren't used to it. And I think, Rob, what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to pull up. Everything can't be a 3, and obviously they didn't shoot all threes. They basically half their shots. It was 53 out of 106 were threes. But they got to pull up and probably shoot some paint shots. You might not go all the way to the rim at Davis, but you got to shoot some paint shots. You got to draw fouls on him. And I thought there were times when Looney, and I get it, he's not a scorer, Looney or Wiggins or somebody would get rebounds inside Draymond, offensive rebounds, and they kick it out. I think you got to go up with that. I get it. They kick it out, and a lot of times they hit threes. But go up, and maybe you draw a foul. They got to put some pressure on Anthony Davis so he can't just live in that paint like that and disrupt everything they're trying to do.
So I don't know if AD is playing at his caliber, Chris. To me, he's almost unstoppable. Like, they don't have anybody to stop him.
Well, they don't have, like, they're small, Rob. Kevon Looney's like 6'9", and he's their only big man. And Draymond's a center, but he's about 6'6".
6'7", right? Max?
Yeah, like max. I've been around Draymond. I mean, 6'6", 6'7". And LeBron is bigger LeBron's about the same size as Looney. Like, LeBron's actually playing big, too. He had 3 block shots. They are protecting that rim. Jared Vanderbilt is a long 6'9". And I think
so is
it's
the only way the
interesting.
Warriors can win? Do they have to shoot the lights out from the perimeter, or do they?
That's pretty much what it is. I think they can win.
But they went away from that, and the free throws tell you they went away from penetrating and going in. You can't be let them foul you.
They're one of the lowest teams in the league at free throws.
No, I get it. Yeah, because
attempting free throws because they shoot so many jumpers. Yeah.
Right, but I'm saying you can't totally abandon it. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean they attack. Steph attacked the rim against Sacramento, but Sacramento doesn't protect. Don't have great rim protection. I obviously picked the Warriors. I think they can overcome it. I don't think Davis, like we said, offensively is going to be like this, Rob. I think the zone will slow him down. I think that they got to try to draw some fouls. Yeah, you got to drive on him. I'm sure Steve Kerr, one of the things he's telling them is attack and one thing I didn't see, Rob, from them and I'm sure they did 1 or 2, but pump fakes. Like, they pump fake for threes. They do that all the time. They'll pump fake, you go up in the air, and then they'll shoot a 3. But when they drove to the bucket, they kind of went up all the time rather than doing a pump fake, getting Davis in the air, then going up, drawing that contact or what, they just went right at him. Those finger rolls, which were beautiful, Steph was throwing up against Sacramento, the Gervin-like finger rolls. I don't know if you're going to be able to do that against them.
Chris,
you probably got to go up a little stronger.
I'm not saying that there's a conspiracy or the games are fixed, but when AD gets those 2 early fouls in game
tomorrow,
2,
you talking about?
Yes.
Well, he only had 2. He only had 2 in game 1.
I get
You
it.
know?
I'm just saying, remember, we'll go back to this. When he gets the 2 early fouls, and that'll alter the game plan. That's all I'm saying.
Well, if he has to sit out, Rob. Well, I think a bigger thing, Rob. I think he and LeBron gonna feel it fatigue wise. I really do. And none of the Warriors played 40 minutes, but LeBron and AD went 40 for LeBron and 43 for AD. So it's great though. It's a great contrast in styles. And Rob, I've always said the one thing, the advantage the Lakers would have over Golden State. I mean, this dates back years. Is their size.
Right.
Their size. And there just aren't many teams like that back nowadays in the NBA, Rob. And it shows you that, the value of that type of game, even in the 3-point shooting era.